Right.
So, Jager Devs, and welcome to Dr. Allison Plaut. We're so excited to have you and to be talking to you about your new book, which you're just coming out with this year. It's titled Be More Threads of Wisdom on the Path of Becoming. And Dr. Allison Plaut has a PhD in political science from Maharishi University of World Peace. She has a master's in business administration with an emphasis on sustainability from Maharishi International University and a master's in Maharishi Vedic Science from Maharishi University of Enlightenment. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we had some questions we wanted to ask you, but first, it would be really wonderful, really interesting to hear about if you could say, what is your inspiration about the book and what the book is about, and also talk a little bit about the course that you're going to be leading starting in a couple of days.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shrita, for that introduction. The inspiration of the book was actually it built in layers. I started out writing what I called them threads, which were basically if I could encapsulate the most important things I've learned from Maharishi, not only from Vedic science, from study, but from experience of working with Maharishi and working on projects for Maharishi. And I started with these threads of wisdom. And then I added to that layers of explanation from Maharishi's Vedic science, expressions from the Vedic literature that Maharishi often used, and then stories from different ancient cultures and traditions. So it gave it a rich dimension of illustrating the same principles from many different angles and from many different times, many different parts of the world. And yeah, so that was basically, it started like that and gradually built up. And the target audience, what I had in mind, were a few different, ideally everyone everywhere. But specifically, I was thinking about the women who've come to Mother Divine in New Zealand, younger women, and seeing their enthusiasm for their experience, their enthusiasm for the knowledge. I was thinking of them at the same time thinking of my younger self. Like if you could give people some tools as they're growing so quickly spiritually, what tools would I want to give them? So that was how it started.
Oh, let me see. So one of the questions that came in about your book is that you talked about the power of attention and transforming your life through attention. And you bring up the phrase that what you put your attention on grows stronger in life. And so the question is, what advice would you give to someone who is surrounded by stress all the time and feels unable to think positively?
Yes, that's a really important question because I think there's probably a lot of people in the world who are like that. The first thing I would say, if they don't already practice transcendental meditation, is to learn transcendental meditation and practice it morning and evening. If they already practice transcendental meditation and are doing it regularly, then I would say there's two things. One is when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling stressed, there's a technique Maharshi gave that Maharaj Ariraj Rajaram, Dr. Tony Nader, has given also in Facebook Lives. And that is the technique of attention. So you just quietly have your attention on your physiology whenever you feel anxiety, depression, worry, whatever overpowering emotion is there. Have your attention on the physiology, and because what you put your attention on grows, our attention brings with it consciousness, and just bringing our consciousness to our physiology, it releases some stress, some knots that are causing those emotions, those feeling of overwhelm. And that can be a practical tool to physically release some of the feeling of stress and overwhelm. At the same time, I would say that in most cases, it is possible to find something good. And Maharshi always used to tell the story of the saint finding the pearly white teeth. And the story, I have it in the book, but for those of you who don't know, it's basically that there was a saint who was famous for always finding good in any situation. And so someone decided to test him by taking him into a dirty, rat-infested alley. And in this alley, there was a cat that had been run over by a car, and it was disgusting. So he thought, I'll take him here. He'll find nothing good. And so he brought the saint. He said, oh, here, we're going somewhere. I want to show you something. He takes him into this disgusting, rat-infested alley and points at the cat. And the saint goes, oh, but look at the pearly white teeth. So the story is a reminder that even in the most difficult, stressful situations, there's always some little glimmer of something good, and that good, when we put our attention on it, multiplies and builds more good.
Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. Thank you so much. So then another question that we had is more kind of about your process that you went through when you were writing this book. And so the question is, when did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Huh. That's an interesting question. I don't think I ever realized I wanted to be a writer. When I was younger, people would say to me, "Oh, you're a writer." And I would be like, "Really? I don't think so." I've been writing, I think everyone writes in school, so that, you have to automatically. And when I was younger, because of the Vedic track I was doing with Maharshi in the Ideal Girl School and later at Maharshi University of Enlightenment, I spent a lot of time writing my experiences, enough time writing the experiences that they got put into several books that were offered to Maharshi at various times. So I think that habit of writing sort of happened automatically. And then it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago that I heard about other books being published. I started reading some of the women's self help books that were out there, and it made me think that there's so much sort of fundamental knowledge of empowerment, of you are enough, but you can be anything you want. But it lacks Marshy's understanding of consciousness and all possibilities through the direct experience of consciousness. And so it inspired me thinking, you know what, I can write a book that has those same simple, empowering messages, but also has consciousness.
Wow, that's good. That's so great. Great. And then what part of that process of writing your book did you enjoy the most, and which parts did you find to be the most difficult?
I loved the actual writing process. In the early stages of writing, when I just got to write without thinking, were the most fun. I did it probably just half an hour to an hour a day for about a year, more than a year. And just adding those little bits of stories every day. I just wrote whatever I was thinking of that day, whatever was inspiring. I didn't try and structure it into any sort of order or book. I just focused on whatever I thought was important that day. So that was really fun. I was even joking that that was like my therapy. I was just every day putting out nice points of knowledge that came to me. The most challenging part has then been editing it and putting it together in a way that makes sense. I tended to repeat myself a lot, and also just, yeah, editing typos. That it seems like it's an endless process, but I think we're finally close.
Okay, so your course is going to be starting on January 21st. And you were talking about consciousness and you were talking about women's self-help books. I'm just
Mhm.
wondering what is going to be in this course that makes it very special for starting this new year of 2023. And you also talked a little bit about your target audience. I was hoping that you could give us a little idea of what your course is going to be.
Absolutely. No, I thought the beginning of the new year was a great time to start the course because what we'll be doing in this course is we'll be reading and discussing and doing the exercises in the first 6 chapters of the book. So those include chapters on happiness, knowledge, love, freedom from judgment, and one of them is called women are divine, or woman is divine. So it's acknowledging our divine power. It's seeking more knowledge within ourselves, more happiness. And each of the chapters in the book, I didn't say this already, each of the chapters in the book has action points at the end of the chapter, which are just simple little exercises that you can do if you want to enliven some of the principles I was mentioning in the chapter. And so, as part of the MUE course, we'll be doing all of those exercises as a group, each of us individually, and then sharing and discussing and really turning the knowledge. And I see it as an opportunity for women who want to dive deeply into knowledge about themselves, a time to reset and rejuvenate, not in terms of outside knowledge or outside goals, but in terms of finding more inner wisdom, more inner happiness, more inner peace. And I think that together we can enliven that for everyone.
Thank you. And then thank you for your answer. What age range would you say your course is for?
I think there's no age limit. I mean, maybe 10 to 100, something like that. If someone younger than 10 wants to come, sure, why not? But anyone who has a sort of high school level who can write and discuss and consider, I think would enjoy the course. Of course, many of the concepts, the way they're presented, are maybe more familiar to younger people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, but I don't think there's any age when the universal principles of love and knowledge and unfolding happiness are they're always applicable.
Mm. And will you be offering this course again, or is this something that's going to be kind of an ongoing um,
Yes.
offering series? Or
Yes, we hope, assuming that, everyone enjoys it, we'll be continuing to offer this course. We are planning to record it so that the parts that are me speaking and not the course participants, we can use for future courses if people want to hear it again before we offer it again. And this will actually probably be the first of a 3-part series because there's 18 chapters or threads in the book. So we thought in this course we cover the first 6, which leaves the door open then to have a second and third course covering the middle 6 and the final 6 chapters of the book as well.
wow, that's exciting. That's great. This is all going to be offered through MUE online.
Yes, it is going to be offered through MUE Online, although I will also offer a similar course somewhere else through some other platform so that men can take it sometime if they would like to.
Great idea. Yes. Okay. Let's see. So in your book, you include this quote, all good I should hear through the ears. I think all good I should see through the eyes, all good I should hear through the ears. And I was hoping that you could give us a little example of how you can do this. And you kind of already answered it, but
Hmm.
how do you describe in your book, in your course, what's maybe a practical action step that you could give us an example
Hmm.
um, of training people, teaching them how to do this?
Yes, absolutely. As you say, we were already sort of saying it, but the thing about that quote, which I find really interesting, is it's not so much guidance on behavior, even though we talk a lot about putting your attention on good, but it's more saying that ultimately everything is good, whether we perceive it through the eyes, the ears, however we perceive it, it's consciousness coming to us. And consciousness is our own self. So whether that comes through any channel of perception, it is bringing all good. But if someone wants to say, how do I find more good? That's where I would say start small. Of course, you have the technique to put your attention back to yourself, but then start small. So find something. One thing I share in the book, which I think is such a fascinating practice, is in Maharshi Stapachived, in the science of architecture, Vedic architecture. When you move into a new home, you're supposed to appreciate everything. So you walk around and you say, "Oh wow, the grout looks so beautiful, and look at this door handle, and look at this, look at that screw." And you look at every little detail of the home and you appreciate it. And I feel like that's such a beautiful way to practice finding good in any situation, is rather than, even if you're not moving into a new home, just give yourself 1 minute to appreciate whatever's around you and see how just that process of appreciation starts to bring more feelings of happiness, gratitude, and good into your own life.
Wow, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. So one more question because it's 2 o'clock. But so the title of your book and of your course is Be More. What specifically do you mean by being more? Because
Hmm.
people often feel that in their lives they're trying to do everything they can already. You
Yeah.
know, people often think of being all that they can be in terms of being successful career-wise or family-wise, being financially stable, or a lot of achievements, and also being balanced inwardly. So, what does when you're saying that be more, it's kind of a big statement,
Yeah.
so well, can you describe what made you choose that title, and what do you mean by be more?
Absolutely. What a great question. Yes. So first, it's not implying that whatever someone is already doing, whether that's outward accomplishments or inner fulfillment or finding the right balance in their lives, all of that is fantastic. I was playing on two ideas. One idea is the idea of being our own inner consciousness, and the second idea is that everyone always wants more and more. I mentioned that several times in the book. No matter how many outward accomplishments, how supposedly great someone's life appears, everyone's always looking for more happiness, more fulfillment, more peace, more love, more feelings of inner joy and outer fulfillment, the ability to give more to the people they love. And so Be More plays on the idea that what we think of as the whole of life, the greatest possibilities, is only a small percentage. And actually, each of us has within us an infinite potential that is so much more than what we think of as the best we can imagine. And so the idea is whatever you are, whatever your greatest dreams are, you can be even more than that.
Wow, that's a great answer. Thank you so much, Dr. Ali Plaut. And I'm really excited to read your book and also to join your course
Oh,
and the subsequent courses that are become available through MUE and other platforms.